Fallen Guardians, 18 years after the Dark Portal. Across the Great Sea, on Kalimdor's eastern shores, a solitary human wandered the land. Few knew her name. Fewer still knew of her extraordinary, tragic past. She was Egwene, one of the greatest guardians of Tirisfal who had ever lived. Long ago, Sargeras had dispatched an avatar infused with a portion of his spirit to Azeroth, hoping to draw Egwene into battle. She had met the challenge and faced the demon, its monstrous form wreathed in fire. In what had seemed like a momentous victory, Egwene had struck down her foe. The Guardian had not simply triumphed over a Legion agent. No, she had triumphed over the Legion's ruler. Egwene never suspected Sargeras' true plans. Just before his avatar fell, he had transferred its spirit into the Guardian, a portion of Sargeras' own power, a portion of his very soul, now lurked within Azeroth's greatest defender. When Egwene later gave birth to Medivh and passed on her Guardian powers to him, she also transferred Sargeras' spirit to her son. As the years wore on, the Legion's ruler imposed his will on the new Guardian and molded him into a weapon. He eventually used Medivh's immense power to create the Dark Portal and bring the Orcish Horde into Azeroth. The terrible war that followed claimed thousands of lives. Medivh was later slain, and his Guardian power was no longer a threat to Azeroth. But this thought gave Egwene little comfort. She blamed herself for everything Medivh had caused: the Horde's invasion, the carnage of the First and Second Wars, and most of all, she blamed herself for robbing her son of a fulfilling life, of a chance to reach his true potential as a force of good. It was during these dark days that Egwene had a strange dream. In it, she saw Medivh dressed in a cloak lined with raven feathers. He told Egwene that he had a message for the world, and he pleaded for his mother to help bring him back to Azeroth. Egwene was initially suspicious of the dream, believing it to be the work of the Legion, but some part of her knew otherwise. She felt Medivh's soul drifting beyond the veil of reality, and she sensed that it was free of Sargeras' touch. This was her chance to make up for her failures to both Azeroth and her son. Egwene called on what little magical power she had left and sought out Medivh's spirit. Months passed without results, but she stubbornly refused to give up. She searched for magical artifacts to help her with the summoning. The quest to bring her son into the world became an obsession. The work was hard, but it was also fulfilling. For the first time in years, Egwene had a purpose. She felt like her old self again. Egwene finally succeeded in summoning Medivh to Azeroth. A ghostly form took shape before her. Just like in her dreams, he wore a robe lined with raven feathers. The moment Egwene looked her son in the eyes, she knew her intuitions had been right. Medivh was free of Sargeras' influence. The reunion between mother and son was a somber affair. Egwene apologized for everything that had happened, and Medivh was quick to forgive her. He knew that they were both victims of Sargeras. He also knew that now was not the time to dwell on the past. Medivh told Egwene that while his spirit was wandering beyond the physical realm, he had witnessed many things. His vast power had allowed him to glimpse into the twisting nether and touch the minds of the Legion's demons. From them, he had learned of the Lich King and the plague of undeath. He had also learned what the Legion was planning after this affliction had weakened the world. In the War of the Ancients, the Legion had tried harnessing a fount of magic called the Well of Eternity to bring the demons to Azeroth. By using its energies, they had nearly created a gateway into the world for Sargeras himself. Their plans had failed. The Well of Eternity had been destroyed. However, another fount of magic existed. This second Well of Eternity was nestled atop Mount Hyjal, protected by the enormous world tree Nordrassil. With the fount, the Legion could finish what it had started. He could create a portal through which Sargeras and the full might of his armies could invade Azeroth. Egwene urged her son to use his guardian powers against the Legion, but Medivh had other ideas. His corruption had taught him the dangers of relying on a single guardian to protect the world. The possibility of that individual being turned to evil was too great. No, the age of guardians was over. If the world's kingdoms were to survive the coming storm, they would have to unite and protect Azeroth themselves. Medivh vowed to act as a catalyst for unity. He would travel the world and warn its inhabitants of the Legion's plans, unifying them in purpose. Egwene longed to join her son's quest, but she was in no condition to do so. The summoning spell had pushed her to the edge of death. In the moments after the spell had finished, her body had begun to age and become frail. It would take her years to recover. Even then, she would never be as youthful or as powerful as she had once been. Medivh was on his own, and time was against him. The plague of undeath was enveloping Lordaeron. Frost and Shadow. In Northrend, the Lich King brooded over his enslavement. He dreamed of a day when he would make the undead his servants and turn them against the Legion. Yet the time for that was not right. The plague had only begun to take root in Lordaeron. For now, the Lich King focused his attentions on other things. Trapped in the Frozen Throne, he needed a way to extend his will to the outside world. He had full control over undead creatures, but their strength came in numbers. Individually, they were weak, mindless things. There was Kel'Thuzad, but the necromancer served a very specific purpose, leading the cult of the damned. The Lich King sought something else, something more. A mighty champion who would act as his direct surrogate beyond the Frozen Throne. The Lich King did not yet know who this surrogate would be, but he did know how he would create his servant. The key lay within the icy prison, Frostmourne. It was a fearsome weapon, capable of consuming souls. If someone were to take up the blade, it would shackle them to the Lich King's will. Yet the Dreadlords would never allow the Lich King to create his new servant on his own. He had to make the demons believe it was in the Legion's best interest. Over the years, the Lich King had discovered what the Dreadlords feared most: Kill Jaden. If the plague failed, the Demon Lord would punish them. The Lich King used this knowledge to his advantage. He played on the Dreadlord's fears and gradually convinced them that finding other mortal champions like Kel'Thuzad was the key to victory. The Lich King's overtures were subtle and strategic. He made the demons believe that locating new servants and arming them with Frostmourne was their idea. Only Kel'Thuzad was privy to the Lich King's true intentions. The entity had revealed to the Necromancer that the Legion was behind the plague of undeath, but Kel'Thuzad remained firm in his allegiance. He secretly promised to rebel against the demons in the future. With the Dreadlord's approval, the Lich King moved forward with his plan. He channeled his power within the Frozen Throne, and broke away a chunk of ice containing Frostmourne. The blade fell to the base of Ice-Crown Glacier, where it would await its victim. All that remained was for the Lich King to find him.